Canada denies refugee status to black man who said he was fleeing U.S. police brutality. An article wrote by Tamara Kandaker in Vice News provides details regarding the return of a black U.S. citizen, Kyle Lindell Canty, to his country after being rejected refugee status in Canada in December 2015, following claims that he was afraid of police violence against black people. At an Immigration and Refugee Board hearing in October, where he represented himself, Canty argued that black people are being exterminated at an alarming rate in the U.S. Canty, who alleges that he's been harassed by police in each of the 6 states he's lived in, faces charges including jaywalking, trespassing, threats and intimidation, and disorderly conduct in the U.S. He denies being guilty of any of them. He presented exhibits meant to demonstrate the human rights conditions in his home country, including videos of his own and others' experiences of being harassed by cops, various news reports, and the handbook from the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, on determining refugee status. The board's Ron Yamauchi wrote in his decision that Canty's deportation back to the U.S. wouldn't subject him personally to a risk to his life or to a risk of cruel and unusual treatment or punishment, and that there were no substantial grounds to believe he'd be subjected to torture. Yamauchi did find Canty credible and have a genuine fear of returning to the U.S. However, he wrote that Canty's own experiences hadn't resulted in assault, extensive detention, or lack of due process, and that being subjected to loss and being arrested without injury or brutality is not persecution. Canty plans on appealing the case in 3 years' time. Canty's case about police racial bias and refugee preference is not uncommon and has been an issue among the black community for years. Sendil Mulainathan, a professor of economics at Harvard, however, thinks that this exists for people of any race, not just blacks. He further highlights the importance of eliminating police prejudice because it is wrong and because it undermines the democracy. It blights and all too often destroys lives. On the other hand, Mulainathan points out that there are also structural problems underpinning police violence, but we are all responsible for those. In contrast, Daniel Marantz, a reporter at the Huffington Post and a graduate of Johns Hopkins University, states that it is not altogether surprising that Canty and others would seek refuge in the United States' more liberal neighbor to the north. He says that the U.S. incarcerates nearly 7 times as many people, measured as a share of population, as Canada does. People of color are disproportionately represented in the American prison population and are typically punished more severely than white peers for the same crimes. Here are some of the comments from the public. Tell us what you think in the comments section below.